Hey y'all, my name is Kyndal Jacoby and I'm a licensed clinical social worker who has the privilege of walking alongside people in my counseling practice, and I have the great privilege of serving on staff at Grace Life Fellowship. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been speaking about mental health and some of the things that we're all dealing with right now in the midst of this pandemic. My heart is to be a voice of truth and encouragement. And today I want to talk about depression and sadness and its emergence, especially in a time of isolation and loneliness. Now that we are all well into this stay-at-home order, I know as I talk to people each week that heavy sadness and loneliness is surely taking its place. 1 Corinthians 6:17 tells us, "But the one that has joined himself to the Lord is one spirit with him. Therefore, as believers, we are never alone. Joy and hope and peace and grace dwells in us, that he has full permanent residence in us." But we also live in a world where our bodies don't always function up to speed, or where we can struggle with legit things like depression. So please hear me say that depression, heavy sadness, loneliness are all legitimate and hard things. And I know this side of heaven, we don't always feel or always experience the presence of Christ that lives in us. That hope and joy that's there, but it's real and it's true, and he really is with us. I believe that faith in Christ and hard feelings coexist. I'm not suggesting positivity for the sake of positivity or pretending this isn't real and hard. We can be very sad or feel depressed and know and trust the Lord. Just this afternoon, my oldest son and I were talking and struggling with sadness and disappointment. He was having a rough time with not getting to see friends and honestly just lots of things that we as adults are thinking and feeling just in kid terms. We sat together, cried together, and also clung to truth together, reminding ourselves that God is with us and for us. And we don't have to like this or understand it. We don't have to handle it well all the time or even feel better about it right now. But we can trust God and that this isn't the end of the story. Trust, faith, and hard, difficult emotions can coexist. Depression or any mental health struggle isn't not having enough faith or lacking the presence of God. Like I mentioned a second ago, we live in a fallen world where our bodies, brains included, don't always work the way we desire for them to. So whether you struggled with great sadness or loneliness and depression before, or if this is new to you, please know that one, you are certainly not alone in this. Jesus, the disciples, Paul, so many wonderful and very human people in the Bible struggled with feelings just the same. God's desire is for us to trust him in and through whatever we are faced with. He isn't a get it together and I'll see you on the other side kind of God. He's definitely, I'm in it with you, and not only am I in it with you, but I'm your life source in and through it kind of God. John 16:33, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have perfect peace. In the world you have tribulation and distress and suffering, but be courageous. I have overcome the world." He is telling us that he has got this. We don't have to handle this. He has handled it. I do want to offer you some simple and tangible things to consider when struggling with loneliness and sadness. It definitely doesn't change the reality of our current situation, but it can for sure help shape our experience of our reality. First and foremost, I want to encourage you to reach out for help. I know that this is not easy and takes great courage, but if you're struggling and need help, reach out to someone you trust, to a professional, to your healthcare provider. You are valuable and there are people who want to help and resources to help. You do not have to walk this out by yourself. Secondly, this is applicable in processing any hard feelings, and you may have heard me say it before. We want to recognize the feeling that you're having, let it reveal what thought or belief is tied to it. If a thought or belief doesn't align with God's truth and love and character, then let's choose to replace it with his truth and then make choices based on that truth. Let those feelings drive you into the arms of God. Remember, it may take time for the feelings to line up with truth. The next thing I want to offer is that doing these things that I call healthy distractions. Oftentimes, the feelings can be big and overwhelming, and we have a hard time not staying sucked down into them. When we are deep in them, it makes replacing thoughts very difficult. I encourage you to use a healthy distraction, which aims to get you out of your feelings, get you some reprieve from it, not to avoid it, but to go back to it when you've come up for air and you're able to think more logically and clearly, to get up out of your feelings. If you accidentally sat in an ant bed, you wouldn't want to stay sitting in it and try to swat all the ants away. You would quickly get up and move out of it. So similarly, we can use healthy distractions to help us get out of our feelings. That can be fun music, doing a task or chore that uses your brain in another way. Watch a funny old sitcom to make yourself laugh a little. Okay, so funny thing, I guess I'll share this, that if you need something to get a laugh out of today, it was not that long ago, even possibly in the preparation for this, that I actually stopped and thought about the word sitcom and realized that the com in sitcom stands for comedy. I know, it's bad. I'm totally telling on myself, but it's just one of those words that I've heard my entire life, and I never stopped to think about it until you do stop and think about it and you're like, okay, yeah, duh. So there you have it. If you needed a smile today, I'm glad I could give that one to you. Just text my husband. There's plenty more where that came from. Okay, next, think about limiting your media and be mindful of what you're intaking. Recognize how what you are watching, reading, talking about affects you, and limit the things that don't help your mood and well-being. Also, we can choose to be active. This can look very different depending on what you like. It can mean just getting up and sweeping the floor, or going for a leisure walk or bike ride, pulling the old volleyball net out of the shed. It can also be doing something like a puzzle that helps your brain be active in a different way. Just doing something that helps you get any type of change of pace or physical activity. Also, we can do something that we enjoy and try to make our environment enjoyable. This can oftentimes help just shift our mood. This can also include music, walking, cooking, lighting a candle, open the curtains to let the sunshine in, doing something simple for somebody else. I know sometimes we don't feel like doing those things when we're sad, but oftentimes acting on the knowledge that this will help before you feel like it's gonna be a good step can be a great step to getting some relief. Lastly, stay connected. We were designed for connection with God and with one another. Reach out to others, use FaceTime, all the social media platforms, Marco Polo, whatever works for you. Do a social distance drive-by to a friend's house and chat from your car for a minute. And I really, really want to encourage those who aren't quarantining alone or who don't struggle with loneliness or depression at this time to take a minute and think of those people that are quarantining alone, or people that you know that struggle with loneliness or sadness or depression, and reach out to them. Check on them, call them, drop them a card in the mail, whatever you feel led to do. This seemingly simple and small gesture can surely go a long way. So just as we celebrated Christ dying for us last week on Good Friday, we know that that was not the end of the story. There was more, so much more. This for sure is not the end of the story. Hope is a person, joy is a person, and we have that person in Christ Jesus. He has chosen you, lives within you, and we can choose to walk by faith and trust him. His mercies never come to an end and are new every minute of every day. Know that you're being prayed for and you're not alone. Again, please reach out to me or someone on staff if you need help or someone to talk to. We are here for you.